Hey guys, so now that we have the Golden Globe winners, the BAFTA long list, and the SAG nominees, it's time for me to give you my January edition of my Oscar predictions. There will be one more prediction video before the nominees are announced, so if you don't want to miss that, click subscribe, turn on the little bell so you get notified when it goes live. But yeah, if you want to help support my channel, you can do so by hitting that little thumbs up button, or by leaving me a comment in the comment section down below with some of your Oscar predictions, or you can ask me a question about the Oscars. It's great for the algorithm, great for the channel, and it's just great engagement because I love hearing from you guys. Anyway, let's get to it. For all you newbies, a quick rundown of how this is gonna go. I'm gonna be discussing all 23 of the Oscar categories. Gonna look something like this. At the top, you've got my 5, or in the case of Best Picture, 10 current picks for each category. Those are the ones in white, and the one that's in bold at the top, that is my current predicted winner. Anything that's in yellow down below, those are alternates. Simple enough? Got it? Fan-dabby-doozo. Let's get to it. All right, kicking things off, we have one of my personal favorite categories, and it's a doozy of a category now that we have the SAG nominees. It is Best Actress. Oh my good golly, wow. What is going on here in this category? I cannot believe I'm about to say this, but I have taken Kristen Stewart off as my predicted winner for this category. I know, can't believe I'm saying these words, but Kristen Stewart is probably not going to be our Best Actress winner, guys. I am so sorry. It's not what I want. I want to see her win. Ever since I saw Spencer, I thought this is our Best Actress winner for 2022. But she missed the SAG nomination. The snub. The snubbery. The snub of all snubs! How on earth did she not make it in at the SAG nominations? It boggles my mind. Sadly, it just doesn't seem to be in the cards for Kristen Stewart, guys, because, well, firstly, she missed the Golden Globe win. It went to Nicole Kidman at the Golden Globes. That hurt her a little bit, but she could bounce back from that. But when she failed to land the nomination at SAGs, I was like, okay, she's done. The reason for that is because it implies that Kristen Stewart does not have the support from the acting community. And when the Screen Actors Guild didn't even see fit to put her on their Best Actress ballot, it just says, what chance does she have at the Oscars, where the largest voting branch is actors? So if she couldn't land at SAG, she's not gonna win the Oscar, I'm afraid. Well, never say never, she could. But let me put it this way, in the last 27 years, no Best Actress winner at the Oscars has ever won that award without at least getting a SAG nomination. I think she will get her first ever Oscar nomination for Spencer. I think she will make the ballot at the Oscars, but her odds of winning have been slashed, obliterated dramatically. Honestly, at this point, I would say placing your bet on Kristen Stewart to win is a Hail Mary play. So yeah, I'm gutted for Kristen Stewart. I want to predict her, but with the data and evidence that we have, I just can't. But the upside is, now that it seems unlikely that Kristen Stewart isn't going to be our winner, it has made the Best Actress race a lot more interesting, because I'm not sure who has it at this point. Right now, I feel very conflicted about this category, and the truth is, there is going to be some shock snubs in Best Actress on February 8th, because we have 9 legitimate contenders vying for 5 slots. So no matter what, there's going to be some frustrated fans on the day they announce the Oscar nominations, because not everyone can make the cut. The honest to God truth is, now, I don't think anybody is a lock. The closest thing I had to a lock was Kristen Stewart, but then she missed at the SAG Awards. If she can miss at SAG, she can miss at Oscars, and I have a feeling she's probably not gonna make the BAFTA ballot either. The person who I would say is closest to being a lock for this category is probably Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos. Despite middling reviews, Nicole Kidman still managed to scoop the Best Actress Golden Globe. And the thing with the Golden Globes is they are a highly reliable indicator as to who is going to win Best Actress at the Oscars. And that's the reason why I currently have her as my #1 pick. I don't want it to be Nicole Kidman. I think she's given far better performances than the one in Being the Ricardos. Is this the role we want to give her second Oscar for? I personally don't think it should be this. Don't get me wrong, Nicole Kidman deserves a second Oscar. I just don't think it should be for this role. So I feel pretty confident Nicole Kidman is gonna be here, and I'm like 90% confident Kristen Stewart will. If the Academy isn't gonna give her the win, then they should at the very least nominate her. But the other 3 slots is anybody's guess. I've gone with Jessica Chastain, Olivia Colman, and Rachel Zegler, but I don't feel 100% confident on any of them. Jessica Chastain has been placing everywhere that she needs to. The Golden Globes, the SAGs, the Critics' Choice Awards. I'm not sure she's gonna get it at BAFTA, but she has been placing in enough places to feel confident that she will show up on the Oscar ballot. But part of me is concerned that the film The Eyes of Tammy Faye is starting to be forgotten about. It's not as discussed as much as other films, so there is a little bit of doubt that Jessica Chastain could be snubbed. And the way I see it is, if we can't have Kristen Stewart win Best Actress, then can we at least have Jessica Chastain win it? She'd be my pick. Olivia Colman gives one of her most challenging performances to date in The Lost Daughter. She is incredible. My only concern is The Lost Daughter might be a little too thematically challenging for some voters to get behind. It's not a film where Olivia Colman's performance is as accessible as the one she's been previously nominated for, like The Favourite or The Father. Are they gonna click with The Lost Daughter in the same way that they clicked with The Father or The Favourite? I'm not so sure, but it's Olivia Colman. The Academy loves Olivia Colman, and I think she could just get in on good faith and likability and popularity alone. And please don't misconstrue that as me saying that Olivia Colman isn't worthy of a nomination for The Lost Daughter. I absolutely think she is. And if she does land the nomination, there's an argument to be made that she could actually win the Oscar. And I put Rachel Zegler in as my number 5. Over Lady Gaga, I know. And the reason for that is, 1, West Side Story is a credible Best Picture contender. It's going to be seen a lot. I mean, there's an argument to be made that House of Gucci is going to be seen a lot now that House of Gucci got the SAG Ensemble nom, so it could be a Best Picture contender. But secondly, the category for Best Actress is seriously lacking diversity this year, so having Rachel Zegler in it would be a way to diversify the category. And thirdly, a good friend of mine, Daniel Brilliant, pointed out to me that Rachel Zegler won the Golden Globe and the National Board of Review for Best Actress. And in the history of those 2 awards overlapping 29 times since 1950, no actress who won both the Golden Globe and the National Board of Review has missed the Oscars lineup. So she does have a decent chance. And I know some people are arguing because she is a breakout star, they're not gonna give her a nomination to someone who's brand spanking new to the industry. Well, to that I say, Yalitza Aparicio, Shirley Booth, Gabri Sidibe, Diana Ross, even Marlee Matlin. These were all women who managed to land a Best Actress nomination for their first ever film role, so it can be done. But like I said, she isn't a lock, and I wouldn't be surprised if she was snubbed here. I'm expecting to be surprised. I will say Lady Gaga is definitely a contender. She got the SAG nom, the Golden Globe. If she gets the BAFTAs, then yeah, I'm gonna put it in my final predictions video in February. She's currently my 6th spot, and if she does show up, it won't be that big of a surprise. Arguably, she might actually be a safer prediction than Jessica Chastain or Olivia Colman, but for now, I'm keeping her at number 6. Jennifer Hudson, who I dismissed in my last Oscar prediction video, shockingly showed up in the SAG ballot, bumping Kristen Stewart off. So yeah, she is definitely in contention now. I thought people had forgotten about Respect, but apparently not. And it is the type of role that the Academy usually goes for. It's a biopic about a legendary singer, a la Renee Zellweger in Judy. But could we perhaps see a female equivalency of when Rami Malek got the Oscar for playing Freddie Mercury, but the very next year, Taron Egerton got snubbed for playing Elton John. It's just like, oh, we've already had one of those roles win recently, we don't need to nominate that. So could that be what happens with Renee Zellweger recently winning a couple years ago, and then Jennifer Hudson being left out? It's possible. I'm not sure if we're seeing this being a late surge for Jennifer Hudson or if the SAG nomination was just simply a fluke. At the moment, I'm currently leaning towards Fluke, but if she does show up at BAFTA, I'll reassess then. Alana Haim's done alright in the critics groups, but at this point I'm not feeling overly confident about her. She does have a chance, but not a strong one. As for Penelope Cruz, who was once considered an early frontrunner in this category, I'm beginning to lose faith in the idea that she will show up here because she didn't even make the BAFTA longlist. But on the flip side of the argument, there is usually one non-English speaking performance that gets in at the Oscars, and if it's going to be anyone, it would most likely be Penelope Cruz in Parallel Mothers, or perhaps my fantasy pick, Renate Reinsve for The Worst Person in the World. I think Renate Reinsve will probably show up at BAFTA, but the Oscars not so much. I still have Frances McDormand in my alternates, and I know with the tragedy Macbeth, all the attention has been going to Denzel, but the thing is, the Academy loves Frances McDormand, and even though she hasn't been placing a whole lot in other precursors, I can't shake the fact that she is just so celebrated by the Academy. She has 3 Oscars, for God's sake, so I don't think we can fully rule her out. Anyway, I rambled on a lot about Best Actress because arguably it is the most juiciest category this year, but yeah, those are my thoughts on Best Actress. What are your predictions for this category? Who's gonna get nominated? Who do you think's gonna win it? Let me know in that comment section down below, okay? Best Actor! Not much has changed here. I still think it's a two-way race between Will Smith and Benedict Cumberbatch, with Andrew Garfield being the dark horse. I still have the same top 4. They all feel like locks to me, and you've got a few people vying for the 5th spot. Those being Peter Dinklage, Javier Bardem, and Leonardo DiCaprio. I personally would love to see Peter Dinklage get the nomination for Cyrano because he has been doing such consistently awesome work for the past 2 decades, earning so much respect, and he's never been nominated for an Oscar before, so you know, this would mean a whole lot more to him receiving his first nomination than it would mean to Leonardo DiCaprio or Javier Bardem, who are previous winners, okay? And I would like to see just one nominee in Best Actor who hasn't been nominated before, and so Peter Dinklage is the obvious choice to me. If Peter Dinklage gets snubbed, I'm gonna be grumpy about it. If Don't Look Up is gonna get just one acting nomination, most likely it'll be Leonardo DiCaprio. He could get in, and it's not like he's not deserving of the nomination, I just don't think he needs it. But since Javier Bardem clinched the SAG nomination, I've given him the 5th spot. I'm not married to him having the 5th spot, but he's got it for now. I still have Will Smith as my pick for winner. His win at the Golden Globes suggests that he still has the momentum, but I don't think he has the Oscar in the bag just yet. If he wins at SAG, then the Oscar is probably going to be his, but I can't see Will Smith winning BAFTA. I think it's going to be Cumberbatch at BAFTA because British boy and all, and that British biasness. And it's not like Cumberbatch isn't deserving, of course he's deserving. But the thing with the BAFTAs is, the last few years, all the acting winners at the BAFTAs have matched at the Oscars, so they have actually become quite a reliable indicator the past few years. But like I said, I would be happy with Will Smith, Benedict Cumberbatch, or Andrew Garfield winning Best Actor, but I think it is shaping up to be Will Smith's time. Best Supporting Actress. Okay, this is actually the one acting category where I feel pretty good about now, thanks to the SAG nominations. It feels more assured as to who we're going to see in this category and also who I think is going to win it. Just like the Best Actor category, I'm feeling pretty confident about the top 4, and then you've got several people vying for the 5th slot. As you can see, I've now put Ariana DeBose as my predicted winner. She is scooping the critics' prizes. She managed to get the SAG nomination despite the screener issue for West Side Story with the SAGs. She's currently my predicted winner, and I think she is going to ride that wave of momentum all the way to the finish line. I think we are looking at our Best Supporting Actress winner, guys. Do you guys agree or disagree with me? Do you want it to be someone else? Do you think someone else deserves it more? Whatever you have to say, do let me know in the comment section down below. Ingenue Ellis was shockingly snubbed at the SAGs, but I still think she will get in at the Oscars. Kirsten Dunst is placing everywhere that she needs to, despite my initial trepidations about her making it to the Oscars in my review for Power of the Dog. It seems like Kirsten Dunst is on track to land her first ever Oscar nomination, and I'm so happy for her. It's about damn time. Ruth Negga's internal, subtle, and powerful performance in Passing is also doing very well. I forgot to include Ruth Negga in my alternates on my previous Oscar prediction video. I know some of you guys weren't happy about that, but rest assured, she's now in my predicted 5. But I will say I don't think she's a lock. I'm not sure Passing is the most accessible or discussed in a film to say she's safely secured a nomination, but she's placed at the Golden Globes, the SAGs, she's most likely going to place at the BAFTAs, so an Oscars just seems like the next step for her. I've sadly dropped Marlee Matlin for Coda. I'm kind of expecting there to be a surprise in this category. I would be over the freaking moon if Dowd managed to get in for Mass. She did get the Critics' Choice nomination, but I'm just not convinced it's enough. I've been saying ever since I saw Mass that Dowd would be my personal pick to win Best Supporting Actress this year. But at this point, the nomination would be a win in itself because she just hasn't been placing in enough awards bodies to be guaranteed a spot at the Oscars. She does have an appearance on the BAFTA long list, and if she does manage to get in a BAFTA, there is a slight bit of hope that she could get in, but I'm just not convinced it's gonna happen. I just don't think Mass has been seen by enough people. Dowd needs to be in this category, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But yeah, that 5th slot is probably gonna be a surprise. Is it gonna be Cate Blanchett, Marlee Matlin, Judi Dench maybe, Jessie Buckley, Rita Moreno, Kathryn Hunter for the tragedy of Macbeth? That's probably a real long shot, but you never know. Best Supporting Actor. This category, I'm finally starting to see it taking shape. I'm starting to see this as a two-way race between Troy Kotsur for Coda and Cody Smith-McPhee for The Power of the Dog, and I'm going for Troy Kotsur as my winner for now. I don't care, I'm doing it. I know Cody Smith-McPhee has been sweeping the critics groups and he's got the Golden Globe, but I've just got this feeling we're gonna see a Ya Jung-yoon situation occurring this year again, where the Academy will resonate more with the heartwarming, tear-inducing performance of Troy Kotsur in Coda, more so than Cody Smith-McPhee and his weird, creepy performance in The Power of the Dog. Looking at the evidence, there is nothing to suggest that Cody Smith-McPhee can't win Best Supporting Actor. He's got enough wins, he's got momentum, but for whatever reason, I'm not confident about Cody Smith-McPhee in the same way that I'm confident about Ariana DeBose winning for West Side Story. I get the love for DeBose, but I don't get the love for Cody Smith-McPhee, and I'm not saying it's a bad performance or an unworthy performance. I'm just saying when I saw The Power of the Dog, I didn't see Cody Smith-McPhee's performance as the Best Supporting Actor performance to be sweeping all the trophies this award season. I just didn't see it coming. It baffles me that he's winning everywhere. So yeah, I have my doubts on him winning the Oscar, but he sure as hell can win it. As for the other 3 slots, I mean, I thought Kieran Hines was a certainty. He was my predicted winner in the last prediction video, but he missed at the SAG Awards, and I still think he can get the Oscar nomination, but I am a bit nervous for him. Ben Affleck actually managed to get both the Golden Globe and the SAG nomination, and I think a lot of people just thought the Golden Globe was going to be where it stopped, but the tender bar has arrived at a pretty good time, and Ben Affleck has been receiving universal praise for his performance as a caring uncle in it, so can he finally get his first ever acting nomination for it? It's one of those things where I can see it happening and I can just as easily not see it happening. Like, I would really like to see Ben Affleck get a nomination for this performance, but it's a gamble, and I've still put him in my predicted 5, but I'm not confident on it. I think he can show up, but if he doesn't show up, I'm not going to be surprised. And the 5th spot is a toss-up between a few A-listers. It could go to Jared Leto, it could go to Bradley Cooper, it could go to Jamie Dornan, possibly. There's been a lot of people saying that Bradley Cooper is done, like he didn't get the Critics' Choice nomination, but he did get the SAG nom. People say that he's not in the movie long enough, and do I wish he had a little bit more screen time? Sure, he was fucking great in Licorice Pizza. But what matters is not the duration or number of minutes that you are in a film, it's the impact that you make. And when I reflect on the movie Licorice Pizza, Bradley Cooper does stand out to me. He's one of the highlights of that film. So yes, he can make it in. He's Bradley flippin' Cooper. Like, the Academy loves him. He could get in on good faith, likability, and star power alone, but he did enough in Licorice Pizza to stand out. He is memorable in the film. So if he does land the nomination, it will be justified. As for Jared Leto, yes, it is an over-the-top performance. Yes, it's a divisive performance, but again, he is memorable in House of Gucci, and that stuff really matters. And despite the negative reviews, a lot of people saw House of Gucci. And when you've got a long list of potential nominees to choose from, a brash, scenery-chewing, acting for the back row performance like Jared Leto's in House of Gucci, it stands out. You remember it, for good reasons or for bad. So if he does show up on the ballot, it's not really that surprising. If Glenn Close can get nomination for Hillbilly Elegy, then Jared Leto can get a nomination for House of Gucci. So yeah, to summarize this category, Troy Kotsur and Cody Smith-McPhee definitely getting in. It's gonna be their race, and the other 3 slots are up for grabs, and there's about 6 people trying to get those last 3 slots. Best Original Screenplay. Not many changes here. I still think it's going to be between Kenneth Branagh and Paul Thomas Anderson. I still have Kenneth Branagh winning. He did recently win the Golden Globe, and Belfast is a legit Best Picture contender, and Screenplay is often tied in with Best Picture. So even though I think Licorice Pizza is the strongest script, I still think Kenneth Branagh is gonna win for this category. I would like to see Paul Thomas Anderson win here, but for now I'm sticking with Branagh. It would be an interesting outcome if they gave Kenneth Branagh Best Picture for Belfast, but gave Paul Thomas Anderson Best Original Screenplay. I'm not predicting that's what's gonna happen, but I'm not ruling it out. They're both overdue for their first Oscar win, and they might want to award both of them, and that's how they compromise in order to make it happen. I've also swapped out Stephen Knight for Spencer with Zach Baylin for King Richard. Spencer didn't get a screenplay nomination at the Golden Globes or the Critics' Choice, which is where I thought it would get a nomination, so now I'm having difficulty believing it's going to show up at the Oscars. And that's going to be a common occurrence in this prediction video, is me bumping out Spencer nominations for something else, because Spencer sadly is rapidly losing momentum and credibility in all of the categories that I predicted it would be nominated, which just breaks my heart because I flippin' love Spencer. My fantasy pick for Best Original Screenplay is Fran Kranz for Mass. I'm not expecting it to happen, but if it does, I will scream with joy, not with anger. Best Adapted Screenplay. Not too many changes here either. I've still got Jane Campion as my number 1. In fact, we might have 3 female nominees in this category this year. Sian Heder for Coda and Maggie Gyllenhaal for The Lost Daughter. I've decided to bump Joel Cohen for The Tragedy of Macbeth, for Tony Kushner for West Side Story. Shakespeare adaptations have a notoriously difficult track record of getting nominated at the Oscars, so yeah, I feel more confident in a musical getting nominated than I do a Shakespeare adaptation. Best Costume Design. Now, not too many changes here, however, I have swapped out my predicted winner. I had Jacqueline Duran for Spencer, but Spencer just keeps losing favor with each passing day. It just hasn't been showing up in enough awards bodies, and I am nervous for its Oscars chances. However, I still think Jacqueline Duran will be nominated for Spencer because Spencer, the costume work in it is divine. Like, there's a whole montage sequence dedicated to showing off all the different outfits that Diana wears, the fashion of Diana. So yeah, the fashion in Spencer, the costume work, sorry, is just, it's to die for, and I don't know how the Academy can ignore it. So it's still in my predicted 5, I still have it at my number 2. However, I have bumped Jenny Beavan up to number 1 for her work on Cruella. Ever since I saw Cruella back in early 2021, I said, okay, Jenny Beavan is now set the standard for costumes this year. I think she is going to be the one to beat now. I actually think that West Side Story might be Cruella's biggest competition for costume design now, because I flippin' love the costumes in West Side Story. The whole fire and ice rivalry of the jets and the sharks, it's all beautifully done. But Cruella is a film about a fashionista, and there are so many memorable set pieces in that film, based around costumes. I think Jenny Beavan's work is strong enough to beat Paul Tazewell's work in West Side Story. Production design. Now, Nightmare Alley isn't doing so well overall this awards season, but I still have Tamara Deverell winning Best Production Design for Nightmare Alley. Some are saying it's going to be Dune because they're just predicting it to sweep in all the technical categories, but I don't think Dune is going to take every technical category home with it. I think they're going to want to spread the love around a little bit by acknowledging some other films. And I feel like the production design in Nightmare Alley is a little bit more theatrical. It's a little bit more grabby than the production design we get in Dune, because a lot of Dune takes place outside in the real world on sand. And yeah, while there is some lovely interior work, there's just a lot more noticeable eye-grabbing production design in Nightmare Alley, yes. But also, we have to remember that Guillermo del Toro's films, he is a master of world building, and production design is a big part of his movies. I mean, he won, well, he didn't win, but The Shape of Water won Best Production Design, and that was his film. So yes, I still think it's gonna be Nightmare Alley at the moment, but it could change a little bit further down the path. In my last prediction video, I said I wasn't sold on the idea of Adam Stockhausen getting 2 nominations for production design, one for West Side Story, one for The French Dispatch. But again, now that Spencer seems to be losing more and more favor, it could happen now. I could see Guy Hendricks Dyers getting bumped for Adam Stockhausen's The French Dispatch. I think he will definitely get the nomination for West Side Story. The French Dispatch is the one I'm kind of on the fence about, but yes, you look at the trailer for The French Dispatch, the production design is indisputably just stunning. So yeah, he does deserve 2 nominations, to be fair. A lot of people are predicting Belfast will get the nomination just because it's Belfast and it's probably going to be heavily nominated in the technical categories, but I don't think it needs to be nominated for production design. I mean, it's mostly just a street and a house. I don't see what's so special about it, but I can see it being nominated just because it's Belfast. But I would much, much, much rather see something like the haunting work of Stefan Deschamps in The Tragedy of Macbeth with his minimal German expressionistic sets be acknowledged for an Oscar nomination than something as plain and conventional as Belfast. Is that just me? Am I the only one that thinks that way? I'm toying with the idea of taking out The Tragedy of Macbeth and replacing it with Belfast just because the Academy can be basic sometimes and go for something boring and traditional rather than something really out there like The Tragedy of Macbeth. But yeah, I'm keeping it the way it is for now because I just want to have it in there for a little bit longer. Like, I really want to see The Tragedy of Macbeth get a nomination for production design. I know it seems to be only showing up in Best Actor and Best Cinematography, but it deserves to be acknowledged for production design. Other films that could show up here, I could see The Power of the Dog getting in. I could also potentially see Last Night in Soho getting a nomination. It's definitely one of the more ambitious undertakings for internal and external set design this past year. I could see it probably showing up for a BAFTA nomination, the Oscars not so much. But the Academy does love seeing a real place being transformed back to a particular period. Look at Mank and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They actually managed to win production design. So there is an argument to be made for Last Night in Soho. The problem with that, though, is that Last Night in Soho isn't in contention for Best Picture, whereas Mank and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood were. Cinematography. This is a category which I'm starting to feel pretty confident who's going to show up here. I still have Bruno Del Bonell winning this. I know some people have jumped ship to Greg Fraser for Dune because it's the most epic, show-stopping cinematography of the year, and I agree, it would be a very worthy winner of Best Cinematography. Let's see who wins the Critics' Choice and the BAFTAs. But Bruno Del Bonell's cinematography for The Tragedy of Macbeth is the most striking, bold, and unique of the year. It blends cinematic and theatrical elements together beautifully. From the moment the trailer landed for The Tragedy of Macbeth, the cinematography was the talking point of this film. It just slaps you in the face because it's so different, unorthodox, and unconventional to what we typically see in a film. It borders on experimental, which is why I think some people think it's too much of a risky pick because it might be viewed as too far out of left field. But I would argue that is precisely why he should win, because it's not what we're used to. It's so refreshingly different to what we see in cinema. And I think he is gonna win for now. So yeah, those are the 5 I'm going with for now. However, should Claire Methon show up for Spencer, or Dan Louston for Nightmare Alley, or Ruben Impens for Titan, or Michael Bauman and Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, I would be elated by their inclusion. There should be 10 slots for cinematography this year, just saying. Best editing, I'm keeping the same 5 for now. Best makeup and hairstyling, same. I'm happy with my 5. I'm gonna stick with them for now. Best visual effects, I've changed up a little bit. I've popped No Time to Die in at my number 5 spot because there's actually a lot more support for No Time to Die than I initially thought. And there's also a lot of very convincing CGI in No Time to Die. A lot of CGI that you're unaware of because it's so well blended into the movie. That is the best CGI, when you're completely unaware that you're looking at CGI. So I've bumped Godzilla vs. Kong for No Time to Die. Best sound, no changes here, sticking with the 5 that I had in the previous vid. Best score, I am sticking with my 5. Now I know I've said that Spencer seems to be falling out of love with the awards bodies, but I just can't see them snubbing Johnny Greenwood for his score for Spencer. There was a time when I thought Johnny Greenwood was the early frontrunner to win for the soundtrack to Spencer. I actually prefer it to The Power of the Dog. I think he's definitely going for Power of the Dog, but I think he is going to get the 2 nominations for Power of the Dog and Spencer. He deserves to be in here. It's one of the most arresting, interesting bits of score I've heard all year. Like it's so good. It needs to be in here. It deserves to be in here. If it's not there, I'm going to have a hissy fit. I can also see The French Dispatch getting bumped for something like Encanto because it did get the nomination at the Golden Globes. But as for everything else, I feel pretty confident about. This is still going to be Hans Zimmer's year. Best Song, one of my favorite categories this year because we are absolutely spoiled for choice, but I have made some amendments. I completely yield on Billie Eilish and Finis O'Connell being nominated for No Time to Die. My concern was that the song had been out for so long, like they released it like during the pandemic and then the movie got delayed, so I thought, oh, it's been out, it's had its time, it's probably been forgotten about. But no, the song is performing well. It won the Golden Globe, it's won a bunch of like critics awards as well, so No Time to Die is definitely in my top 5, and I have it as my predicted winner now. In fact, No Time to Die and Just Look Up from Don't Look Up are the only 2 songs which I feel confident are going to be here. They are the ones that I would consider locks. The other 3 are still up for grabs, and the problem is there's so much star power in Best Song this year and not enough slots to honour everyone, so there's going to be some snubs regardless, and a lot of people hoping to see Beyonce and Jay-Z show up, because who wouldn't want to see a married couple competing against each other in the same category? And everybody knows Beyonce and Jay-Z, but I don't know if they're both gonna get in here because Beyonce was snubbed for Spirit for the Lion King soundtrack. Everyone thought she was guaranteed to get in there. She didn't. Could she get snubbed for Being Alive? It's possible. Guns Go Bang. I mean, it's a great song, but the movie, The Hard They Fall, just hasn't been doing all that well this award season. Is it enough for Jay-Z to get in for? I honestly don't know. Dos Oruguitos from Encanto I think is very likely to show up because it's Disney and it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, and given the tremendous year that he's had with Vivo, In the Heights and Tick Tick Boom, I think they're gonna want to honor him for all his hard work. And Dos Oruguitos is a lovely song, but I'm gonna say this, it's not Lin-Manuel Miranda's best song that he's made this year. I'm sorry. That honor goes to Vivo for Keep the Beat. The fact that it's not even in the shortlist for best song just makes me really, really grumpy. So yes, these grapes are very sour. However, I still think Lin-Manuel Miranda will get the nomination. Van Morrison's Down to Joy from Belfast, I can only see getting nominated if the Academy decides to shower Belfast with nominations, over-nominated. Because when I think of Belfast, best song isn't what comes to mind, or production design when I think of Belfast's best attributes. Heck, even Everlasting Love made more of an impact than Down to Joy did. So if it gets the nomination, I think it just gets him because it's the best picture contender, and that's the only reason cause. I know Annette is a bit of a weird film, but I can see the Mail Brothers getting a nomination for So May We Start, because that song is legitimately quite catchy. I actually think that song and the set piece that they do with that song is the best bit of the whole film. Also, Diane Warren could just show up in this category for her song for 4 Good Days, just because she's Diane Warren and she always shows up in this category. She always shows up, but does she ever win? Nope, but I wouldn't put it past her to just get a nomination based off her name recognition and her narrative of being the bridesmaid and never the bride. She's so overdue for a win, but is 4 Good Days the film that she wins her first Oscar for? I don't know. I would be very shocked if she did make it in for 4 Good Days, because I don't actually know a whole lot of people that have watched the film. I feel like the Best Picture contenders probably stand a little bit more of a shot of getting into Best Song, just because their films are more likely to have been seen. So the songs for Belfast, Coda, King Richard, they do have a decent chance, but it's not a guarantee. Out of those 3 that I just mentioned, I would pick Beyonce's Be Alive from King Richard. So yeah, those are my top 5. I'm confident on the top 2, the other 3, not so confident. Okay, so next up we have the shorts. I always struggle with the shorts because I honestly haven't seen a whole lot of them. Best Animated Short, I've kept mostly similar, except this time I've got Bestia and Affair of the Art in, instead of Souvenir Souvenir and Box Ballet. Best Documentary Short. Again, I still haven't seen any of these movies, so I'm the worst person to ask for this category, but looking at Gold Derby and what's tracking well, I've taken Lead Me Home out and swapped that for Three Sons of Benazir. My new current winner, The Queen of Basketball, for no particular reason, just because I've got a feeling. Ooh. Best Live Action Short? Ugh, who knows? I have mixed things up a little bit, just because the ones I had don't match up with like what's doing well in Gold Derbies. So yeah, these are the 5 I've gone with, but honestly, I've got no clue. Best Animated Feature, mostly the same. I still have Encanto as my winner and The Mitchells vs. the Machines as my number 2, because the Golden Globe snub did hurt its chances a bit. However, I have swapped out Belle with Raya and the Last Dragon. It's smart to go with Disney and Pixar films because they do tend to fare well with the Academy. And also, Raya and the Last Dragon has been placing everywhere that it needs to. So yeah, I popped it in my 5. Best Documentary Feature. Okay, so in my last prediction video, I bumped Flea up to the first position because it was gaining love, appreciation, momentum, steam, whatever you want to call it. However, since that video, when with the arrival of The Rescue on Disney Plus, there has been a lot more resurgence of love and discourse surrounding The Rescue again. A lot of people are finding The Rescue, they're loving it. So yeah, I've switched The Rescue back to my top pick. Although I do think that Flea deserves to win something, because it's probably going to be nominated in Best Animated Feature, Best Documentary Feature, and International Feature, okay? That's such a triumph, and it would be nice to acknowledge it somewhere, and I feel like Best Documentary is the best place for it. So yeah, I feel The Rescue might actually be the one to win it now. But yeah, I would like to see that Flea win, but yeah, I think it's gonna be The Rescue. I've also bumped Summer of Soul up a few spots. That's doing really well. I might bump The Velvet Underground off for something like Ascension in my February picks. See how the next few weeks go. Best International Feature. No changes here for me, and I'm sure some of you are probably putting Drive My Car to be the winner in this category because it's been doing so well in the critics groups, and I even know some people who have it in their predictions for Best Picture, period. And I'm struggling to see how that's possible, because I really don't get the hype for Drive My Car. I've watched it and I thought it was fine, but I don't understand the hype. It's a very long, it's a 3-hour slow burn thinker. Like it's a smart film, but it's a lot to process. So I'm having doubts that 9,000 members of the Academy will champion a 3-hour thinking film like Drive My Car over something more accessible, lighthearted, but still smart, like Joaquin Trier's The Worst Person in the World. It's just a far more enjoyable, palatable watch than Drive My Car. I mean, if Drive My Car continues to win more and more stuff over the coming weeks, I probably will change it to Drive My Car. But yeah, I still have The Worst Person in the World for now. That's just me though. Best Director. This category I think is really starting to solidify. I think the top 4 are all locks and the 5th spot is debatable. In my last prediction video, I had Steven Spielberg winning, and I still think that he can. I'm just waiting to see who wins the Directors Guild Award, because I think he genuinely does have a chance there. But for now, Jane Campion is my pick. She's the most obvious pick from all the critics groups, but she also won the Golden Globe. And I thought if there's going to be a surprise anywhere for director, it'll probably be at the Golden Globes, but she still won it there, so that bodes well for her chances at the Oscars. I still don't think she has it 100%, but if she does win, say, 2 out of 3 of those last big precursors, then I'd say it's probably going to be Jane Campion, and that would be lovely. It'd be nice to have 2 back-to-back female directors win at the Oscars. That would be so cool. I had Sian Heder as my 5th spot in the last video, and I've decided to keep her here again because Coda did receive the SAG Ensemble nomination. So Coda is starting to look more and more like a Best Picture contender. And because Best Picture and Best Director are so intrinsically linked to each other by extension of the SAG Ensemble Award, she's got to be in contention for Best Director as well. So I've kept her in there for now. It's a little bit of a fantasy pick, but yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But as much as I want to see Sian Heder in the 5, I can easily see her being bumped for the most likeliest person is probably Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, but Reynaldo Marcus Green for King Richard, even Guillermo del Toro for Nightmare Alley isn't out of the question. Adam McKay for Don't Look Up, I hope doesn't show up here. I mean, he managed to get nominated for The Big Short and Vice, so there's definitely an argument to be made that he could show up, but I'm kind of hoping that he doesn't because it's not one of his best films, in my opinion. If you ask me, his direction was fine. He does a good job of keeping the tone consistent throughout the film, but it's not like the direction blew me away or anything. So yeah, I still have the same 5 directors, but I have a different winner now. And last but by certainly no means least, we have Best Picture. And since my previous prediction vid, a lot has happened, and yes, it has changed a little bit. Like I said in my reaction video to the Golden Globe winners, even though I'm not a huge fan of the film itself, The Power of the Dog is a legitimate contender for Best Picture. I bumped it up to number 2 now that it has the Golden Globe win for Best Drama, and also has the most wins in the critics groups. The reason it's not number 1 is because it failed to get the SAG Ensemble nomination, which isn't too worrisome because they did manage to get 3 individual acting nominations at SAG, but also the general response from the public to The Power of the Dog has been a bit lukewarm. Like, the critics absolutely adore this film. They can't get enough of The Power of the Dog, but for the general movie-going public, they're not as crazy about it. Like, some people don't love it, they just like it, or some people don't like it at all. Which makes me think The Power of the Dog might not be the type of film that does well on a preferential ballot, which is how Best Picture is decided at the Oscars. I can't see it being a film that gets everybody's 1, 2, and 3 positions on the preferential ballot. I think it'll be more mixed than that, which is why Belfast is still my number 1. It's got some wins for Best Picture in critics groups, not as many as The Power of the Dog, but it also did win the People's Choice Award at TIFF. That's a very highly reliable indicator of who's going to win Best Picture. It's gotten all the nominations that it needed to so far in order to win Best Picture. Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, it even got SAG Ensemble. I'd say if Belfast does end up winning the SAG Ensemble Award, then it's pretty much got the Best Picture Oscar in the bag. And it's definitely going to get in at BAFTA, so yeah, for now, it's my number 1. I'm actually hoping that Coda wins SAG Ensemble, so we have an actual race for Best Picture, because Coda is a film where I can see doing well on a preferential ballot. It's a film that everybody really enjoys. West Side Story, I think, still has a chance, but isn't as much as a threat as it once was. I mean, it did win the Golden Globe Best Musical Comedy, and if Spielberg does manage to pick up a directing trophy at one of the big precursors, then yes, it definitely still has a chance. But the problem with West Side Story is that it's fighting the whole remake of a film that's already won Best Picture, and it's also got a bit of controversy surrounding it with its star Ansel Elgort. So that could affect the way that some people place their votes. Dune, I think, has a nomination secured for Best Picture, but I don't think it can win, even though it probably will be the biggest winner on the night in terms of quantity of Oscars that it wins. It's going to do very well in the technical categories. If I had it my way, Dune would be winning Best Picture, but I can be happy with the fact that it got the Best Picture nomination. King Richard, I think, is a safe bet that's going to be here. For a while, I actually thought that King Richard might be a threat to win Best Picture because it's a very crowd-pleasing film, thought it'd do well to preferential ballots, but it hasn't won anything significant yet, and unless it can pull off a surprise win for SAG Ensemble, then I think its odds of winning Best Picture are slim to none. Tick, Tick, Boom, the musical about the artistic struggle. I think it's something the Academy is going to relate to massively, and it does have a beloved fan base, this film, so I do think Tick, Tick, Boom will get a nomination for Best Picture. Don't Look Up, while thematically divisive, was hugely popular, a massive win for Netflix, and is overloaded with star power. I can see it being nominated, but part of me thinks it could be snubbed. It might not make it in. Like, I wouldn't be that surprised if it didn't make it in. And just because your film has lots of A-list star power doesn't mean that people are going to vote for it. So I'm actually hoping that it does get snubbed, because there's about 5 other films I would rather see get nominated over Don't Look Up. The last 2 slots is where it gets tricky. I've taken The Tragedy of Macbeth out because that's just not happening. Last month I had Licorice Pizza in my 10, and I can still see it getting in. I'm just not as confident on it as I once was. If Paul Thomas Anderson gets the directing nom, then yes, Licorice Pizza will get into Best Picture. But I could see Licorice Pizza getting bumped for something like Peeing the Ricardos or House of Gucci. House of Gucci did very well at the SAGs and got the SAG Ensemble nomination, which means it does have support from the acting community, which means it can show up in Best Picture at the Oscars. Also, Being the Ricardos, I thought was a pretty average film, but Nicole Kidman won the Golden Globe and Javier Bardem managed to squeeze into SAG, so it does have support, and it's also a movie about Hollywood, which is something the Academy usually does go for. Mank, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Birdman, Argo, The Artist, anything industry related, they usually connect with, and they more often not do nominate it for Best Picture. So while I personally don't think that Being the Ricardos is deserving of a Best Picture nomination, I can see it showing up here. Other films that could show up here but do seem like a long shot are The Lost Daughter, Nightmare Alley, Drive My Car, and potentially the controversial one, Spider-Man No Way Home. Where do I stand on this whole should Spider-Man No Way Home receive a Best Picture nomination? I can see both sides of the argument, because when I saw Spider-Man No Way Home, I absolutely adored it. I think it's an incredibly fun movie. I loved it. It was one of my favorite movies of last year. But is it a Best Picture film? I didn't see it that way when I saw it, but I can see the side of the argument where, you know, the Oscars is struggling to remain relevant. They are worried about numbers and viewership and all that. So if they want to increase their ratings, having a film like Spider-Man No Way Home is a good way to attract an audience that doesn't necessarily watch the Oscars, because, you know, it's such a big blockbuster movie which helped restart, you know, people going back to the cinema. Okay, it's made over $1 billion so far. So there is an argument to be made that it should be a Best Picture nominee because of how it's helped the film industry. So I can see why some people really want it to get the nomination for Best Picture. And I asked you guys on Twitter, should Spider-Man No Way Home be a Best Picture nominee? And 62% of you said no. I'm also on the side where I don't think it is a Best Picture film. But what is a Best Picture film? It's subjective, okay? Like, cinema is cinema, isn't it? So just because it doesn't meet a certain set of criteria of what we're used to at Best Picture, it shouldn't be nominated. I mean, we have had superhero films nominated in the past, granted, just Black Panther and Joker. But yeah, is Spider-Man No Way Home the type of film that we think deserves to be nominated for Best Picture? I don't know, whatever you think. Do you agree? Do you think it should be nominated for Best Picture? Do you want it there? Well, I'm in the camp where if it gets nominated, I will actually be really happy for it. I think it's amazing. I think it'd be really cool to see it nominated. I don't think it will, but yeah, I think there are way more films that are more traditionally seen as Best Picture material and better in quality, feature better performances. Not that the performances in Spider-Man No Way Home aren't good, they're amazing. It's just, yeah, I'm used to seeing a certain type of filming nominated, and I don't know if Spider-Man No Way Home is one of the top 10 best. What am I saying? I put it in my top 10 favorite movies of the year. God, maybe it should be nominated. I don't know. I am torn. I really am torn. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm a yes and a no. I don't know. I'm somewhere in between where I will be happy if it shows up. I don't know if it will. I don't think it will. But if it does show up, I will be happy for it. All right, I'm going to shut up now. But again, to summarize Best Picture, the top 8 I feel pretty confident on, and the last 2 flexible. I'm not sure what the last 2 are going to be. I am kind of expecting there to be a bit of a surprise here. And that's it, guys. Those are my January predictions for all 23 categories at the Oscars. But as always, love to hear from you guys. What are some of your predictions for the Oscars? What do you think of mine? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? What are some of your predictions for Best Picture? Definitely want to hear that. What do you have to say? Let your voice be heard in that comment section down below. If you did like the video, give it a thumbs up. I do have one more final Oscar nomination predictions video coming up in a few weeks' time before they announce the Oscars. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you've clicked subscribe and turn the little bell on so you get notified when it goes live. If you want to follow me on any of my social media, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, even TikTok now, it's all in that video description down below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Airfield, and I'll see you next time.